we've been doing it all wrong. We're talking about sound frequency healing therapy today. So, people who have thought outside of the box regarding health and healing, they've been, kind of dabbling in sound frequency therapy over the years, thinking they can just listen for 20 minutes here or there, try out a few sounds, couple days here, couple days there. But you guys, for God's sakes, don't wait as long as I did to get it right. And I finally got it right, but it wasn't until an incredible series of interventions happened in my life that were completely divine. They looked random, but they were absolutely divinely orchestrated. I was led through almost like a maze of sound frequency that cured 5 pathogens that I had within my body. And did I mention that I've been sick for the past 11 years? I had made some improvements, but then the things that I was diagnosed with years ago had come back, but I didn't know it. And I didn't have another 20 grand to pay my naturopath and the integrative doctors to test me for all this stuff again. You know what I mean? Many people are in the same situation, being stuck with these mystery illnesses, but they have no freaking idea that they are walking around like a petri dish of illnesses, viruses, mold, staph infections, intestinal viruses, heavy metals that can all be cured with sound frequency. But not, just sound frequencies here and there, like dabbling in it. We're talking hardcore treatment. This is like take you down to your knees kind of treatment with wild symptoms for several days, listening to these frequencies that rise up with the symptoms that you're feeling, and then they suddenly come to a halt, like they completely vanish, they disappear. The game Dig Dug? It's the old 80s video arcade game, and you have that little laser ray and you shoot the little orange monster ball things, I think they're called pukas, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger until they literally just vanish. Well, that's what happens with the pathogens in your body if you do it right. I was shown, 100% divinely shown, a method to determine what pathogens a person has using myself as a guinea pig. I was also shown what sounds are on YouTube that are free that you can listen to mitigate the pathogen. And I was also shown how many hours a day it would take and how many days you'd have to listen to the sound. And it all worked. It all was 100% accurate. I have a 100% success rate in eliminating pathogens from the body. Like I said, I was healed from 5 pathogens within my own body. This includes Coxsackie virus, which is a weird name, but it's an intestinal virus that I've had for years, but I didn't know it had come back. I didn't know I needed to get rid of it. But I also had a staph infection, a case of salmonella, a thing called MARCoNS, it stands for multiple antibiotic resistant coagulase negative staphylococci. In layman's terms, that means the antibiotics can't touch it. It's a staph infection that sits in your sinuses that just stays and stays and stays. And the sound frequencies cured all of these pathogens within my body. All pathogens that I had been tested for years earlier at places like Stanford Chronic Fatigue Clinic, UCLA Medical Center, Lyme specialists, naturopaths. But with all this testing out there and all these fancy places that I had to drag my sorry sick self to for answers, and of course there were no answers. Even at these fancy places, no answers, no remedies, no pills. There's no freaking pill to get rid of this stuff. You can't get rid of it. There's no antibiotic. There's no herb. Doctors butter you up and down with all these, remedies. Have you tried this? Have you tried that? Even integrative doctors try to support your system with herbs and, let's support your immune system. It's probably an autoimmune disorder, blah, blah, blah. I'm here to tell you that the body doesn't fight itself for no reason. There's something in there that needs to be eradicated. I worked with a renowned healer years ago named Master John Douglas from Australia. He told our seminar group that people's symptoms of illness, and especially autoimmune disorders, are actually because of pathogens, physical things in your body that are present that need to be eradicated. But doctors aren't testing for them. Doctors don't test for them. Why? I don't know. Probably because they don't have a cure for it. It seems futile in the medical world for people with serious illness that just go untreated and undiagnosed. It's not fair. There's nothing for these people. There was nothing for me for 11 years of my life. The bacteria H. pylori that's responsible for ulcers? That wasn't even discovered until the 80s. Doctors just told everybody to lay off the red wine. You know, medicine and medical testing hasn't even caught up with the illnesses that people are walking around with undiagnosed. And I've spent 11 years doggedly pursuing alternative methods of healing, only to finally be shown through no effort on my part, no effort at all, finally, how to use healing sound frequencies to heal the conditions in my body once and for all. And I didn't spend 11 years of my life working toward this, missing my children's concerts, their plays, their birthdays, too sick in a room by myself in the bottom basement of our house, too sick to even have my dogs come in and comfort me. That's because of my wild cytokine inflammatory reactions. And, you know, and it looked like autoimmune conditions. And, you know, and I was too poor at this point. We were too poor for me not being able to work and spending our last dime on a caregiver for me. And that's so my husband could still work and support us. At that point, there was just no doctor that could help me. There was nothing I could do. No pill I could take to save me. But I knew I was meant for more than suffering. You know, I used to be a thriving music teacher as well as a counselor and a jazz vocalist. All of that, you know, kind of down the drain. I had to say goodbye. It's like the death of the ego, you know, just goodbye to everything I ever was. And my prayer was, God, show me how to heal so I can help other people. I'm a teacher and I want to teach other people how to heal. You know, but at this point I'm cured. I have no more pathogens in my system. I'm clean, I'm clear. And I'm gonna keep updating with this channel more and more information, but today I just had to give you an initial overview of what my life has been for 11 years and what it's about to become, and I'm not wasting any time. I want you to follow me and watch my progress and watch me become someone who is ceaseless about sound frequency therapy. This is my mission. It is my mission in life. There's no turning back for me. You know, I could go back into music. I'm not going to. I'm going down this lane because there are too many people that are sick that need healing today. I can't wait to see what my future holds, and I'm gonna be able to bring my body back on board fully. I mean, my mind is already so clear, it's insane. Oh, I shouldn't say my mind is insane. My mind is just really, really clear. I have no brain fog. I have no symptoms. I was able to go off a medication that I had to take twice a day, or I would dry heave essentially. And the second I cleared the heavy metal condition in my brain, I no longer needed the medication. Like, it was like 11 years of I can't go anywhere without this medication or I could die and go into a coma, which I almost did 10 years ago. And that's why I ended up on the medication in the first place. Seriously, you guys, I mean, doctors aren't testing for this stuff. You, perhaps like me, have had to go into the fringy world, you know, off into the weeds to try to uncover methods, you know, of alternative healing, because that was all that was available to me at that point. Doctors, the four walls of the doctor's office were long gone. They could do nothing for me, and they are well-meaning people that can do great with things like heart problems and other things, but not mystery illnesses. You know, I was a walking petri dish, and so are a lot of other people. People are dealing with, you know, things like fungus or staph infections, all of these things that I had, some kind of virus, some kind of issue, and typically multiple issues in their body, and they wonder why they feel like a pile of crap. My mom's automatic writing, she channels angels through her hand, and it was the only thing I could grasp for years to feel any hope at all, for being able to even walk around my block again someday, or, you know, make a birthday cake. These are the things I just would dream about and fantasize about, because I couldn't do any of them. I couldn't go to a concert without having to lay back with my head dangling on the back of the auditorium seat, you know, because I didn't have the strength to hold up my head. And to even just like watch a show or a play, you know, 11 years of this, okay? But, you know, this angel message said, Time will flow and be here with miracles of unexpected healing. Time will flow and be here with miracles of unexpected healing. And I thought it was going to be in 2015. But every year went by, and it went by, and it went by, and it went by. But you know, the 11th year, the 11th hour, how ironic, right? I was shown a method to determine what pathogens were still making me sick. and it is 100% successful. I use a divining tool. I can tell you what you have, and then you can cure yourself by going on YouTube for free and listening to the sound frequencies that my divining tool and this intuitive method have culminated in. People have been doing this for a long time, like, oh, there's rife sounds on the internet, how cool, but they're just not doing it right. I had to listen for 10 days, 6 hours a day to get rid of the fungus that I had in my system, in my lungs, and all of my organs. I had to listen for 6 days, 4 hours a day to get rid of the intestinal virus that kept me hunched over in pain. I had to listen for 11 days, for 8 hours a day of noises to get rid of the heavy metals in my brain. And that was really hard. It was a doozy. And I learned that I had to do them one at a time until they were gone. I couldn't go through some playlist. No. One at a time. And you don't feel good while it's happening. But anybody can feel bad for a week. You have a cold for a week and it's gone. It's like that. It's hard. I could barely sleep with the heavy metals when I was treating them with the sound frequencies because it like lit them up in my brain. The metal particulates were like fireworks on the 4th of July in my brain. And because that's where they're stored. Heavy metals are stored in your brain. And I have 0 heavy metal symptoms now. 0. I also found out that it was because I was using deodorant with like aluminum in it for like 30 years since I was in like junior high. That's where all the heavy metals came from. You know, I had gone 2 weeks trying to cure salmonella 10 years ago, and I had salmonella again recently. It took 4 hours to clear it with sound frequencies. I spent 9 days. I had to listen for 10 days, 6 hours a day to get rid of the fungus that I had in my system, in my lungs, and all of my organs. And you know, guess what I was doing this morning? I was walking on the beach. I was running up and down stairs, running. I haven't ran anywhere for 11 years. My brain is clear, my lungs are clear. I don't have to do the dishes in 3 stages, sitting on a stool and resting in between, you know, okay, I'll come back and do the big pots and pans in a minute because I'm too tired. You know, I was always like chair surfing. Where's the chair? I got to sit down because my legs are starting to shake. This has been my life for so long. You know, again, we are walking petri dishes full of pathogens and we don't know it. And doctors aren't testing for it. And not to scare you, but I pretty much guarantee that you have at least one pathogen that you should not have in your system. And that pathogen is making you feel a little more tired, you know, more tired than you should. You know, maybe you're a little achy in your joints. Maybe you're a little flushed. Maybe you're a little fatigued. Maybe it feels like some kind of mystery illness that, you know, you can't seem to get a test result for, you know, but I can help you determine what that is. I can help you figure out what sounds you need to listen to. Did I mention that they are free sounds on YouTube? The sounds are totally free. And, you know, if you've ever been hospitalized for anything, chances are you have a staph infection. You know, it's probably making you fatigued. Staph is everywhere, in every corner of every hospital, anywhere. And somehow we're not addressing this. Why? Look it up on the internet. Staph is rampant and we have these infections in our bodies. And mold toxicity? Oh my God. Why isn't this being tested for regularly? Why is Lyme disease so hard to test for? There are plenty of Lyme tests that are accurate and our doctors don't use them. Only the Lyme specialists are using the accurate tests out there. Seems pretty backwards to me. And the Lyme world, this is where all of my symptoms started years ago. Fortunately, the Lyme part, which is a bacteria called Borrelia, never came back. But all the other stuff, all of it came back. It was never really gone in the first place. I had killed off some of it at different points in my life. I used scalar light healing, which is lovely and wonderful and totally like medicine of the future. But that's something that I had to pay for. And it was a set amount of time. And what I was shown by divine intervention was that healing can be free, right at your fingertips, free, available right on YouTube. And if you go to my website and if you book a single session with me, I can show you what you have. I can intuit what you have through my method. It's a divining method that I use. I'm not even charging people an arm and a leg. I just want people to be better. I did this for myself and I'm doing it for other people now, and I am at a 100% success rate. 100%. And just so you know, the divine intervention part all started when my dog had seizures, and I was terrified. And I used my divining tool, which I used to grab here and there. Like if I was in a crisis, I knew how to use it. I kind of learned how to do that on my own years ago, just kind of through, I think it was just through intuition. Nobody ever showed me how to do it. But divining tools can literally lead you to water. You know, that's what they're used for. And I believe there's so much truth in the way a person can use a divining tool. And this is how I was shown how to do this method. And it's something that anybody can do. But I have developed a very highly refined skill at this point. And now my dog who had seizures is cured of all the pathogens that were causing them. You know, the veterinarian was like, oh, he must just have epilepsy. And I'm like, no, my divining pendulum, I didn't tell him that. But I'm like, it's saying that he has these flukes because there is a rat nest next door because the next door people have chickens, blah, 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 blah. They're eating the chicken's food and they kind of have been in kind of running along our back fence. And our dog was getting the parasites. And voila, there his brain starts seizing up because he had an overgrowth of these what's called flukes in his system. And I found out all of this stuff using my method. And my dog, not a seizure since. I play my sounds out the window at night and I actually cure the rats. Well, I don't do it. The sounds cure the rats. And so then my dog doesn't even get them. A few weeks ago, my son was starting his first day on the job and he woke up with E. coli poisoning. And I quickly kind of jumped into action. I determined through my method that he has E. coli. I quickly determined how long he needed to listen to the sounds. It was a 2-hour sound healing protocol as determined by my divining tool. And he had 2 hours from that point until he had to report to work. And he made it to work on time, you guys. He forgot that he was ever sick on the toilet the entire previous night. And in the morning when he woke up, you know, he calling me, Mom, what am I gonna do? This is my first day on the job, right? He had no idea what he was gonna do. And he drove to work, he was still a little queasy. But by the time he got to work, he forgot he even had it. He was completely cleared of it. And I said, honey, whatever you do, don't stop listening to the sounds for even a minute. He listened and he was perfect. He was cured. And listen, guys, I am now adding this sound frequency healing method, this new protocol, this method of healing that I have come into. It's like a gift that I've been shown. And I'm adding this to my website. It's going to be updated, including booking appointments with me for consultation on your sound healing. You know, Tesla and Einstein both said, I think we've all heard these at this point, that, you know, frequency is the medicine of the future, essentially. And I couldn't feel more overjoyed to help usher in the truth of these statements, to bring frequency healing into our present world and to get these pathogens out of people's bodies. This is my new mission in life. I'm going to be bold, I'm going to be dogged, and I'm going to be determined. And you will not stop seeing my face talking about this because I am not going to stop. It is a mission. You know, people get so sick out there and they don't have answers from their doctors. People that know about sound frequency don't realize that they haven't been doing it right. I feel like I have an amazing secret that I'm so excited to share, and I feel like I've been shown how to crack the code, so to speak. It was a miracle in my life. It was the divine miracle that my mom's angel writing promised 11 years ago. But when you've missed out on 11 years of joyful events, hikes in the wood, concerts, graduations, because you're sick, you're too sick to go and your legs won't carry you any farther than 20 yards at a time, you don't have time to waste. So you're gonna see me on this channel becoming more and more dogged about sound frequency healing, and I'm not going anywhere. And I implore you that if you or anyone you know are sick and you don't know why and doctors don't have answers for you, call me. Find me on my site, go to my website, set up an appointment with me. I was cured by my method of sound frequency healing, and you can be too. It's not too good to be true. Look at me. You see how clear I am? This is a face of somebody who's clear, and you can be skeptical if you want. You can have a million skeptical questions or opinions. It's totally human. It's totally logical. I get it. But, I don't have time in my life to answer to the skeptics, though. I just have time to get the word out about how I've been cured and how I can help you. I can help you through sound healing, and I can help you get it right the right way. The proof is in my healing after 11 years of illness. So please follow me on my channel. You or someone you know can finally get well. Your new reality is going to be healed, happy, and whole. And with that, I'm just going to say I love you so much. Be well, my friend. Take care of yourself.